Audio test. Audio test. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Phil Gallier, and I run ThrabenU University. And for a good portion of today, I am going to be streaming Death and Taxes of some nature. I live in Roanoke, Virginia here, and it's relatively hilly and mountainous. And we got snow last night in the wee hours of morning, so that means no school today. So, very happy to be streaming at this hour because that means that some of you that normally don't get a chance to watch me stream, especially those of you overseas, can get a chance to see me stream live rather than just watching the YouTube videos. So, I'm probably going to stream a league this morning. I'll definitely stream another league tonight at the normal time. That is going to be a Judges Familiar stream, so that one will be at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and it's possible I will also get a stream in over the lunch hour. I've got a couple other things I need to get done, but it's pretty likely I'll get bored of stream 3 leagues in one day. So morning, everyone. Alright, so Scudo, you were the first one to comment here, and you've been following the stream for quite a while. What would you like to see me play this morning? You want to see some red-white, some the Judges Familiar build, mono-white Crusader build? I'll leave it to you, Scudo. What would you like to see this morning? While I'm waiting for that response, this is the build that I'm looking to play this evening. I might change a few cards, but I'm definitely going to play 4 Judges Familiar, and then probably supplement it with some Brynwing Mare. Pick between either a Dire Fleet Daredevil build or a mono-white Crusader build. Cannon Fairy, any chance of blue-white D&T? Today, no. In the next week to week and a half, yes. So you can see there's a little card hoarder symbol down at the bottom. I was recently picked up by the Card Hoarder Network. So starting sometime this week, once my account is set up, I will be able to borrow cards. And then, yes, I will probably stream with this build right here. And then there's another build that features, I think, 4 True Name Nemesis and Brainstorm as well that I want to try out. I don't have that other list up here, but I have it listed on Thraben University if you want to check it out. Yeah, Cannon Fairy, I think the build is very interesting. So I want to try it out. It's unusual. Unusual doesn't mean bad, but there's definitely some negative synergy, right? Like Brainstorm and Thalia or Stifle and Thalia isn't necessarily the best plan, but some of those blue cards are relatively powerful. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Crusader build. I haven't played the Crusader build in quite some time. I'm going to go ahead and update my stream name to suggest that I'm streaming that. Snow Day stream number 1. White Crusader taxes. Done. Alright. So let me just take a quick look at this and see what I want to do, if anything, to make any changes here. I haven't played the Crusader build consistently in a month or two, so I might make some quick, small changes. I don't necessarily need Prelate in the main deck right now. And Gideon might be better as Cataclysms. And then that leaves me with one more sideboard slot, which could probably just be another Path to Exile. Card's been pretty consistently great for me in the red-white build. And then maybe over the prelate, I'll put a Wingmare in the deck. I've been really digging Wingmare. Sideboard has 17 cards now. That's no good. Definitely want one prelate in the 75. Wouldn't hate a third Rest in Peace. Alright, maybe I don't have room for the Wingmare. Maybe that prelate just needs to stay. And then the rest of that looks about right. I caught myself, Scudo. I caught myself on the 17-card sideboard. It's really hard to make that mistake on Moto for more than like 10 seconds because it just tells you, hey, your sideboard has too many cards, and they won't let you submit it for obvious reasons. So something like this looks pretty reasonable. Again, playing event tickets because Legacy Cube is hard and I keep losing. Senior Larson, I missed your explanation probably. Any reason why you're switching off of red-white? I asked the stream what they wanted to see right when I opened it up, and Scudo selected Crusader D&T for me to stream this morning. I am still on red-white D&T for my primary version of the deck that I am going to be playing. So blame Scudo when we promptly die in this league, because we keep getting paired against decks that Blood Moon is great against. I've played against this player before. Oh, geez. Here's a tough hand. So... this hand has no pressure, literal no pressure, but has a crazy amount of disruption. If my opponent is some sort of Delver deck, or anything of that general ilk, we can just absolutely roll them with a hand like this. We spend like the first 3 to 4 turns disrupting, and then we deploy whatever we draw in the meantime. If they're not a deck that Wasteland and Swords to Plowshares are good against, this hand is really, really soft. My opponent has been playing things like Alurin, Nickfit, and Deathblade, all of which this hand is pretty reasonable against. So in the dark, I would ship this hand, but with some data, I'm going to keep it. Oh. Sorry, this is a call from my school. I have to take this. Sorry, we have automated messages in county here for various snow-related announcements, and we just got another one. Wastelanding again in the face of Vials. Not the greatest. I'm going to go ahead and deploy the Mum at this point. I wanted to Wasteland the first time just to see if my opponent kept a 1-land Vial hand. Like, that was my whole goal there. Alright. My opponent is playing something a little interesting. Yeah, I don't even know what to call my opponent's deck, if we're being completely honest. It's definitely a brew. That's for sure. Like, this is the sort of deck that is probably just going to, like, Vial in a True Name, you know, hard cast a Jitte and wreck me. That is what I expect. Yep. Oh, God. Well, that's rough. Leovold wasn't on my mind. I was thinking it was going to be something more like Vendilion Click or like True Name Nemesis. So whatever I get here is destined to die. On the off chance that my opponent does not have another land, I'm going to go ahead and get the Batterskull to help stabilize the board, and I'm still going to wasteland my opponent and just hope they don't have that second land. I didn't do this in response to the Vial activation, A, because I was not expecting Leovold, and B, because if I wasteland, then I don't play around a Daze, which was something I very actively did there. Alright. There's a small chance that we can come back. Alright, there's the True Name I was expecting. And now that I have an opportunity where I can't get clicked, because, like, who knows if my opponent has that in their deck or not, I want to go ahead and do so. So I feel sort of like my opponent has second True Name Nemesis since they made that attack. It's kind of the only way the attack makes sense. If they have a second True Name Nemesis, would they trade Leovold for my Batterskull? Unclear. There's also the chance that my opponent, like, is just not used to, like, True Name Nemesis versus Batterskull math. I'm not going to make the attack. Alright, second true name. Again, I'm going to take this opportunity to just put this equipment in where I can play around click. And I'm going to hope that my opponent continues to miss land drops. I think trying to fade my opponent missing a land drop is way better than porting and giving them a card. Coco Lopez, if I make the attack and they have the true name that I suspect they have, they can potentially get rid of my Batterskull. And that's not something I want to do when I have like this follow-up sword as an option. Alright, so if my opponent pumps, I'm taking 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the next turn. I'm gaining 6 right here. So I effectively have 14 life to work with. I can kill them in 3 turns if I just send all the sword triggers at their face. That is probably what I'll do. Let me do the quick math check to see if like the Baleful Strix changes anything. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My opponent can attack effectively for 10 every turn for the rest of the game. With just the true names. That number changes to 11 with Baleful Strix in play. Next turn I gain 6 and I go up to 20. So I actually might need to kill this Baleful Strix. Sure, you can force that opponent. Well, that seems like a really bad attack. Let's see if they have just like infinite things to deal with my stuff. Like, do you want to use... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, greater 7. That feels really, really bad. I agree. Like, not being able to, like, go and draw cards with that is devastating. And, like, having to give my opponent an extra card every time I connect is bad. Although I do have the line of, like, shoot my own idiot and then, like, not make them draw a card. Yeah, Scudo, I also thought we were dead, but, you know, lo and behold, we weren't. So I'm gonna think for a minute about what I want to do sideboarding here, because this is like not a stock matchup at all. I get. So I guess this is like 4-color Vial. I guess I'll call it in my notes. Like, it's essentially a Stoneblade deck with Vial. So I definitely want the extra piece of equipment in the Council's Judgment. That's for sure. I'll probably pull Prelate. I guess Thalia is a little bit less effective than normal in this matchup. My opponent's rocking a bunch of true names. The paths don't do a ton there. Although it's very possible that my opponent is like a 0 basic land deck, and the path is just a strict upgrade to Swords to Plowshares. My opponent's deck definitely seemed greedy. So that might be a good exchange. But I'm not 100% sure, and being wrong is very punishing. It's also possible that I should just trim some number of Swords to Plowshares and keep the Thalias in. I think I'm gonna sideboard differently, play versus draw. On the draw, I think I want to be able to answer my opponent's Deathrite Shaman very consistently. I just want to keep my opponent from getting to True Name. Alright, opponent has another Vial start, which is problematic. But we managed to win the last one somehow. Yeah, greater 7. I agree. I think if my opponent doesn't, you know, totally blunder there, they're so far ahead that I'm not coming back. I can either hold up removal here or just jam Jitte. I'm going to jam Jitte. I don't know that my opponent is playing Mother of Runes, and that's the only thing that I would fear, like, right now. But, like, given minimal information about my opponent's deck list, I'm not going to, like, actively play around that before I think it's good. Alright, Weathered Wayfarer is interesting. If I just, like, jam Crusader here, and it doesn't die or get countered, I'm in a very, very good position to just take over this game. And I would probably want the Crusader to be able to connect ASAP. If my opponent also has 2 lands... Yes, this is live. I got a snow day, so that's why I'm streaming at a non-usual time. Oh, it's Steven, not 7. Sorry, my bad. Yes, Virginia does not know how to deal with snow. That is indeed confirmed. I think I'm going to limit my opponent's resource and remove the Weathered Wayfarer. Like, let's say that they vial in a Stoneforge. I can remove that Stoneforge. And then hopefully leave some equipment stranded in their hand. if they get like a non-Jitte card. Alright, well, they got a Jitte. And Steven, I'm glad that you got around to finally building the deck in paper. It's a bunch of fun. I love it. You know, obviously I love it. All right, here's the point where we learn if they have a basic land or not. They do not. All right, so I'll make an adjustment for the next game. And now we see if we just get absolutely destroyed by a 3-drop. No, I'm not sick. I got a snow day, Jazzy. Yeah, I know, like, snow day mid-March sounds kind of weird, but welcome to Roanoke. Alright, Council's Judgment. They vote for Umezawa's Jitte. I'll vote for Umezawa's Jitte. Council's Judgment. It's real tempting to vote for their Vial and try to just, like, mise this game on tempo, but we're not gonna risk it. I'll get rid of their Jitte. If this Mirren Crusader dies to, like, a true name off a Vial, so be it. I accept. Alright, like I said, I accept this. And note that I do value, like, getting the Jitte off the board more than removing the potential true name that hits the board on that next turn. So, like, I don't regret my line at all. Like, I did not want to, like, attack first and make that a real decision point. Yeah, so, like, snow in March, like, is not unprecedented here in the States or anything like that. But, like, enough snow mid-March to, you know, keep me out of school, that's a little rarer. We folded to 5 to 8 foot snowdrifts. Yeah, Virginia is currently folding to, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow. We just have no way to deal with it here. We're far enough south that we don't have a ton of, like, plows and salt and stuff at the ready to just, like, deal with it. I'll do a quick, like, Vendilion click containment priest check. No. And we'll cripple both of our Ether Vials here. Try to equip this, hopefully don't get Swords to Plowshared. Well, we didn't get Swords to Plowshared, so that's the good news. Alright, so I'm actually going to hold this land because the land represents an extra point of life off of Sword of War and Peace. Which now will be too slow. Oh great, my roommate says if you get 10 subs today, I hit you with a snowball on stream. Alright, well, guess that's happening. Alright, so we're on the draw for that one and lost. We'll be on the play for game 3. Game 2. Game 2 lost to double trading. Alright, so now I can think about sideboarding a little bit. Be right back making some fake subs. How about regular subs? Preferably toasted ones. So my opponent has no basics, so like path over swords is probably just correct. And I probably want some number of Thalia back in the deck now that I'm on the play. Maybe even all of them, in complete honesty. So this would leave me less able to answer an early Stoneforge or Deathrite, but more equipped to play a mid-range game. If my opponent doesn't have like a Vial hand for the 3rd game in a row, I really would like to have the Thalias. So I think I'll submit like this. This hand is awkward because it has double Caracas, but like it has a Vial opener, and Vial openers are amongst the best hands you can have. Again, like the Thalia is going to be a little awkward with the Council's Judgment, especially considering that we have that other Caracas, but like there's no way we ship this hand. Alright, that's a really good draw. If I didn't draw like a piece of removal there, I'd probably just like have to play the Thalia to deploy something on curve. But now I'll get to like play Mom. If they have a removal spell, Mom eats it, and then Thalia sticks around with Caracas backup. And 100% going to Council's Judgment this Deathrite. 100%, unquestionably. Alright, so my opponent has the days, that's fine. Will not pay for that. I will use Aether Vial's ability, and I'll put Thalia in. Alright, so my opponent, like there's no lands in the graveyard currently, so this Deathrite doesn't actually produce any extra mana yet. And I'm very likely going to wasteland my opponent, though, turning the Deathrite on, but stopping anything else. I'm going to tick up to 3. My deck list is really 3-drop heavy. Well, wasteland in their upkeep if they don't do anything. And I know this will give them white mana. That's okay. Like, I accept that, and if this allows them to brainstorm, I accept that as well. But I just want to play around them just, like, drawing fetch land and all of a sudden being able to deploy True Name Nemesis. That's terrifying. Taxes, yeah, and like this is exactly what I played around. Like we have successfully played around a True Name Nemesis. Weathered Wayfarer, alright. That's annoying. Like that just like digs my opponent out of the spot that I put them in. Kind of. There is some degree of temptation to just get Sword of War and Peace and try to close this game out in 2 turns. If my opponent deploys 2 cards in their hand, that leaves them with 3 cards. So that hits for 7. Getting War and Peace is real tempting. But I'm just going to get Sword of Fire and Ice. It's still going to be like an abyss for their creatures, just like taking out 1 a turn, and it also will let me get through True Name if somehow this mom dies. But any non-Batterskull piece of equipment there is probably correct. Yep, okay, you know, this is the sort of thing that I just played around by not getting War and Peace, so that's fine. Yeah, I get that's fine. Like we're all aware that that's how that works, but I agree with you. How many lands are left in the graveyard? 1 land left in the graveyard. I don't think I want my opponent to hit land drops for the rest of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and path that little fellow. And I am not going to play out the Sword of Fire and Ice right now. I will play into Vendilion Click, but around Council's Judgment, which my opponent showed me, and they haven't shown me a Vendilion Click yet. Well, let's just go for it and see if we get there. What is the stop on the opponent's main phases for? It is for Flicker Wisp reasons, mostly. So, for example, if my opponent does something that makes me want to Flicker Wisp one of my own guys, so that it comes back on the end step. That's the sort of thing that it's for. Yep. Alright. Alright, so I can Flinger Wisp my Stoneforge off the vial, and then get Batter Skull, I guess. Or maybe Jitte, depending on whether or not my opponent attacks. I can make this play now to 100% guarantee that I get a piece of equipment, but then I'd be telegraphing to my opponent what I'm doing, which is not irrelevant. I'm going to guess that my opponent is going to have enough, shit. I didn't play out my Caracas there. Anyway, I'm guessing that my opponent is going to have enough to do with their mana where, like, they're going to do something proactive. Agate, I have something absurd like 15 free drops in this deck. Definitely okay with picking that up. Alright, looks like I'm getting super punished for not taking the line earlier. So Deathrite Shaman only has a Mother of Runes in the graveyard to eat. So the Deathrite Shaman isn't the scariest thing in the world. The scariest thing in the world would be, say, an army of Flicker Wisps, I think. I think that's the scariest thing in the world. You know, according to me. Yeah, so Coco Lopez, I can just kill my opponent in 2 turns with flyers in the air. So I don't think I have any need to do anything else other than just try to kill my opponent. Alright, so I'm probably taking 3, I'm taking 6 for sure. My opponent can go up to 5 life, maybe somehow up to 7 life, so I still have lethal with all the stuff that I'm doing. I don't think I need to play the Sword of War and Peace at all. I think they're pretty well dead. I think I'd rather play the Thalia as a disruptive element. And I think I don't need to block one additional point of damage with the Recruiter, so I'll just hold my Flicker Wisp up. And we get there. So that was essentially 4-color Vial Stoneblade. It was kind of terrifying. So game 3, win with Flicker Wisp, Recruiter, Chain. So Coco, like, that's something I could do, but I'd rather be holding an additional body in case my opponent does something weird that sweeps a portion or all of my board. I'd rather not commit more to that when I have, like, the win on board and the win on board versus, like, one removal spell. All right, folks, I'm going to take 30 seconds to run to the restroom before the next match here. I'm going to go ahead and leave the deck list up for you for those of you that joined before or after I did the deck tech. All right. Sorry about the delay, but I played really poorly when I have to pee, so I just take care of that. All right. So let's see what chat said. Yeah, so I'm definitely afraid of something like Orzhov Pontiff, Toxic Deluge, another Zealous Persecution, and anything of that nature is absolutely terrifying on that board. You know, I don't think they're going to have a, Toxic Deluge in their true name deck, but, like, I've been very, very wrong before about that sort of thing. Like, a Pontiff seems totally reasonable in, like, a Vial-based deck. Like, say they do something like Pontiff or Deluge that is, like, sorcery speed. Like, I can flicker out a Flicker Wisp and still attack in for 3, which will be lethal. I was promised a Hoot Hoot. Basic Plains Hoot Hoot tonight is at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So the normally scheduled stream time will have Judges Familiars in it. Yeah, sure. So, like, if I play the Thalia and they draw a fetch land, can they go Jitte Equip? I don't remember if they had 2 or 3 lands in play at the end of the game there. Hey, welcome to the stream. Okay, you're not a mod. I should mod you. Are we going to fail twice in a row in queue here? Third time's a charm. Drop Tundra 2 Death Rich Element. So if I play Thalia and Thalia resolves, they're not going Jitte and equip. I would like to play first. This hand is probably going to be a keep. I'll see if I have any data on my opponent here. Matyo 804. No data on my opponent, so I'll just keep this hand. This Vial really needs to resolve for this hand to be great. And it resolved, so this hand is great. Oh, speaking of, the survey has now closed for the Mulligan article, so I will be working through the results of that survey and posting my article sometime this week. I probably won't do that while I have snow days. I'll probably just focus on streaming a little bit extra for every snow day that I have. And then once I'm back to work, in the evenings, I'll work on finishing up that article. It is most of the way done, so I just have to, analyze the data. What do I want to do this turn? If I just jam the Stoneforge Mystic, I have, the really high upside of being able to just, take over this game. But if my opponent is randomly, Ant, I'd really want to port them and keep them off of a mana source. So I'm going to do that. This also lets me gather a little bit more data about what my opponent is doing before I make any decisions about fetching or tutoring of any nature. Alright, so my opponent's playing some sort of bug deck. I'm not going to expose the Crusader to a counterspell. That'll just take over the game on its own quite well. I'll expose this Recruiter to a counterspell, though. I don't particularly care about this Recruiter. Alright, so my opponent's probably a Delver deck. So, we'll get end of turn, Stoneforge for Jitte. Next turn, put in Batterskull and port, Vial in Crusader. Should be pretty disgusting. Him to Turok me. Well, opponent, you're gonna get some goodies. That's for damn sure. Yes, I agree, Egget. Our hand is awesome. And will still be pretty awesome after a hymn. I'm actually going to get the sword now. That way I have card advantage if this sword sticks around. Alright, let's see what happens. We roll the dice and plain Sword of Fire and Ice. If those were the two cards I could have picked to... those are the two cards I would have picked to lose. That's awesome for me. We win this one, boys. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use my Caracas as a Lotus Petal here, just so I can port my opponent. Sure, you can brainstorm. I wouldn't be expecting Ant after Verdant UC turn 1. No, probably not. Probably not. But, you know, you can only trust the fetch lands so much, you know, like, what if that just happens to be one of the black fetch lands my opponent is playing? You know, what if they're randomly Reanimator, like blue-black Reanimator or something like that? Yeah, so I have a snow day here in Virginia, Ling, so that explains sort of the time difference from what we usually see. Tarmogoyf, you say? It would be a shame if that Tarmogoyf was completely irrelevant due to how amazingly sexy Mirror Crusader is. It'd be a shame. And now every land we play for the rest of the game just gets us closer to Batterskull equip on Mirror Crusader. I'm just gonna take my opponent off of a second Tarmogoyf or equivalent. And I think my opponent is priced into wastelanding me this turn because Mirror Crusader plus Batterskull equipped should be like literally unbeatable. Oh yeah, we're totally getting wastelanded. MacGuffin, we are playing a Crusader build right now. Mono white. Fatal Push the Germ token. Okay. That's fine. So if my opponent attacks us, they have us dead in 4 shots, and we have them dead in 3 shots with our board. Additionally, if we draw a land, they are just like 100% out of the game. Alright, Deathray Shaman is slightly annoying because it's going to like change the clock. Well, that's disgusting. I love Mirror Crusader. I miss playing with him like every day. Like now we get to like Vial in second Mirror Crusader, block the Tarmogoyf, not take any damage. Bounce the Batterskull, redeploy the Batterskull, drink my opponent's tears, and then win the game in 2 turns. What? The 4 Crusader deck is good against the Tarmogoyf deck? I guess it is. That makes sense. Math checks out. Still more Tarmogoyf. Alright. So now I get to, like, bounce Batterskull, redeploy Batterskull, chump block with Batterskull, and close out the game in 3 turns. The only thing I need to be, like, slightly fearful of is something like a Fatal Push for the Germ token. So I can whack my opponent for 8 here, or I can just whack them for 4 and then finish things off with the Crusader the next turn. And that line is much safer and to a certain extent plays around my opponent just having like a removal spell. The only thing that like doesn't particularly play around is a Toxic Deluge. If my opponent happens to have main deck Toxic Deluge, they can Deluge for 4 and fuck me up. So let me think. If my opponent is representing 14 damage right now, so there is no way that they can kill me. There's not going to be any sort of haste damage in that deck. So maybe I should just shut off Deluge as a potential out at all. Yeah, I think I've talked myself into that. Cannon Fairy, why don't you equip Batterskull and Mirroring Crusader as it will give him Vigilance? It costs 5 to equip. That is why. It costs 3 to return. If my opponent has Stifled, does it matter if the Batterskull trigger gets stifled? No, not really. Played around Deluge now. I guess I can just play around Stifle still for the sake of doing it without really getting punished. Yes, I am. I have a snow day here, so we're gonna get in 1 to 2 bonus leagues today. And I have no idea what my opponent is digging for that could get them out of this. Yeah. Yeah, Sky's crying. Sky's real sad. So sad, the tears have frozen. Womp womp. Alright, so we're playing against Bug Delver. After all of that, we were on the play. And we win versus Mateo 804. Game 1 win with double Crusader. As a Canadian, I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. That's fine. Alright. Paths. In. Rest in peace. In. Council's judgment. Probably in. Revokers. Out. Prelate. Out. Still need to make more cuts. Recruiter is effectively more copies of Mirren Crusader, which is awesome, and represents some card advantage, which is also great. And my opponent is going to try to grind us out in those post-sideboard games, so like keeping some number of recruiters is fine. It also just gives me another Flicker Wisp target. Can I do this without pulling recruiters? I can trim a Flicker Wisp and 2 Thalias. Because I'm bringing in 7 non-creature spells and I'm on the draw, the combination of which makes Thalia still very good against my opponent's deck, but it would make me less able to go and deploy my stuff. And this gives me a very good endgame inevitability engine. And recently the Delver decks are shifting more towards a grind you out post-sideboard plan. So I think this is okay. And I'll be heavily inclined to keep Vial hands because of this sideboarding. Alright, this hand is solid. It has removal, it has 2 Stoneforges. You know, slow removal, but removal. That was a great top deck. That's just going to let me curve out much, much better. What do I want to draw? I would love to draw Rest in Peace. I think that would be the best top deck I could have. So is this or Red-White Taxes better? I like Red-White Taxes better. But there is a certain appeal of just, like, fucking people to death with Mirren Crusader. Like, undeniably, Mirren Crusader is a great card in the metagame right now. It's so powerful. It dodges a lot of the removal, and it just clocks people quickly. And I do miss playing with multiple copies of that card. Alright, what are you gonna do? You gonna him me? Not gonna hit me. You're gonna Abrupt Decay the Bomb. That's fine. Ooh. If my opponent didn't have Deathrite Shaman, I'd 100% Vial and Wasteland here. But I'll just plan on playing that Vial later at my convenience. Let's just put him to the test. Since we have a second Stoneforge, we'll get Batterskull with the first. And then my next turn is going to be like play Wasteland, tap for Ether Vial, put in Batterskull. And I feel like that will probably do it. You know, could be wrong, but if I untap with the Stoneforge, I'm going to be pretty far ahead. You know, my opponent could play something really annoying, you know, like one of the Lilianas right here, or a True Name Nemesis, and install this game out a little bit. What do we got going on? Me taking Council's Judgment, Ether Vial. Okay. Alright, okay, so I guess I'm not playing around Stifle if I... Oh no, I am playing around Stifle if I do it right now, because there's no lands in the graveyard. I don't think there's particularly any reason why I should not do this now. So I will do this now. Oop, there is a Polluted Delta in the graveyard. Okay. My bad. There is sometimes a click in the sideboard, but it's rare. Like, I don't think my opponent is going to have anything like, say, Maelstrom Pulse. Please let me keep the Crusader. Would that be too much to ask? Alright, we kept the worst one. We gambled and won last time, and we gambled and lost this time. I'm more worried about, like, random Planeswalkers that my opponent could have. And I don't think they're going to have, like, a big sorcery speed removal spell, like Maelstrom Pulse or something like that, to mess up my life. Not that they can't, it's just uncommon. Alright, we have a ton of removal. Alright. So I'm not going to wasteland my opponent because we're one land away from just equipping this Batterskull onto Mirran Crusader and going to Pound Town. Yeah, you know, like, the two draws we wanted there were either Rest in Peace or Mirran Crusader, with any one of our 7 one-mana removal spells being pretty saucy as well. Alright, opponent, yeah, you can wasteland me, and you're gonna do that, but you're not getting anywhere quick. Alright, second Goyf is pretty good. Delver's pretty good. Alright. "4X Crusader build, confirmed best version of D&T." Oh, jeez. Alright, I noticed a white-white build top 8 with 1 Moonman and Pontiff in the side. It had 4 Cavern and 4 Vial to cheat it, and no Caracas. Have you seen it, and what are your thoughts on it? Caracas is an incredibly powerful magic card. It's probably a mistake to not play that card. So I 100% block with this. And I think I take the block here as well, because this feels like some sort of like Toxic Deluge type attack. And if my opponent Toxic Deluges for 2, then they lose both Tarmogoyfs if they do this. No, I guess if they had Toxic Deluge, they would have done it prior and not attacked. So why are they making this attack? I can also just, like, double block one Goyf and kill a Goyf. Or I can just, like, make them use a removal spell on this Germ. I'm trying to read what my opponent has and why they would make this attack. They have a removal spell. They make this same attack, but they use the removal spell on the Germ first to 100% push 5 damage. So they don't have a removal spell. They just have like another Tarmogoyf. And so like that would deter me from attacking with the Batterskull right back. I think they have a Goyf. What's chat say? Alright, third Goyf or Tombstalker, yeah. So if they have another Goyf, then I can just like block again with this Germ on the following turn, unless they use a removal spell on it. Okay. No, if they have another Goyf, I should just like kill a Goyf and make them sad. Yeah. I like this. I double block, and then immediately in chat, everyone says, let's double block. All right, you came to the same decision I did. Good job, chat. Ooh, is it a Garmag? Or is it the Tombstalker? I'd play 4 Mirror Crusaders. Seems to be working out pretty well. Alright, it was Tombstalker. Gross. Alright, so my opponent is effectively at 16 life due to the Deathrite Shaman. There are 2 creatures in the graveyard. So my line is remove Deathrite Shaman, crack in for 8. My opponent will be at 16. They're dead to the double Mirroring Crusaders, and then I can also wasteland them off of green. The most damage I can possibly take is 13, so even if they drain me with Deathrite Shaman instead, I've still just got this. Ooh, there is a Delver to mess with my two-turn clock. Okay, that's fine. But, like, either Delver or Deathrite Shaman messes with the two-turn clock. Yeah, Wasteland, you know, definitely means that, like, we've got this. Again, it would have to be something like a Toxic Deluge to take us out of this game at this point. I'm not gonna return the Batterskull. That can just sit there. If I hit 5 lands somehow because this game is still going on, I'm A-okay with that still being on the field. Oh, killing the Bayou and the Delver. Yes, that would have been a better line. Yeah, so if we kill the Bayou, unless they top deck a green source, it's still the two-turn clock. They were at an even life total. So what if it's a fetch? Yeah, okay, that was better. Alright, so 2 games in a row, we just get to write win with double Crusader. It's like that card's good. Oh yeah, 100% drawing a Wisp would be insane there to reset the Batterskull. So for anyone who joined in late, this is the deck list that we're playing today. We're playing a 4 Mirror Crusader build because Mirror Crusader is sweet and because Scudo told me to. But we're currently 2-0 with it, so we've got that going for us. Yes, Agate, I agree with that. Like, the difference between any one of those targets is probably less than, like, a 2% difference to, like, win or lose the game there. Oh no, League matchmaking failed. Womp womp. Alright, I've played against this player a bunch. I don't have any data for them in my spreadsheet. That's weird. I know I played against this player. Or maybe my auto just complete isn't working. No, I've played against this player. Oh well. Oh cool, gotta close your stream. Done. I'm gonna keep this one. Hand's good. Opponents are scared of 4 Crusader and don't join the queue. Oh, Maverick. Is it just me, or is the stream dropping serious frames? I usually don't have any problems. If multiple users are experiencing that, please let me know. It might just be due to, like, weathery conditions here. So Bobby, if you're having trouble and it doesn't get better after, like, a page refresh or something, please let me know again. I don't know if it's anything I can do, but I'd want to know. Alright, we're a little action light now. Okay, good to know. There is... Does OBS show a red light in the bottom right? Yeah, a little bit. It's just switched from green to red. Okay. That might just be due to weather on my end or poor connection. But probably on my end. And I'm 100% just going to take the damage from the Thalia here. And I'm okay with bouncing on the end step. It looks like my opponent is like holding up Abrupt Decay or equivalent. So even if I bounce, they're still going to have mana to do what they want to do. Ew, 25% frame drops. That's rough. I don't like that number. Alright, I am not going to go for the Gusto here. I'm not just going to, like, go for the quick kill. I'm going to play this patiently. I'll play out this Vial. I'll Vial in the Jitte. And if they have Abrupt Decay, they have to hold it up for, like, a whole nother turn. And I also have Caracas to bounce the Thalia if they redeploy it. And this is why we don't go for the Gusto. Whew! Yeah, this is the first stream that I've had any serious problems on. I might, like, reset my router before I do my next set of leagues. See if that helps at all. See, so I can go Flicker Wisp, Flicker a land, Caracas specifically, and play Thalia and just dump 5 power in play. It's probably better than porting because my opponent is probably past the mana bottleneck pretty easily here. I'll go ahead and copy that. So, like, how many frames per second do, like, streamers normally stream in? Like, is 30 normal? Is 60 default? I don't have a good feel for that. This is big. Is it just a green sun for another night? Nope, it's bigger than that. Alright, that's fair. Oh. That's annoying. Ramunap Excavator is devastatingly good against Death and Taxes. It just, like, completely invalidates the mana denial portion of the plan. Yeah, darn you 3-drops for being so good. That's part of D&T's thing, right? Like, it tries to go bigger than a lot of other creature-based decks. So when you get something that plays, like, these creatures that just can beat, like, 2 power worth of double strike or first strike damage, you start to get a little softer. Like, this knight here is going to mess me up. This excavator is going to make my mana denial irrelevant, and, like, any one other creature of any nature pretty quickly makes this, their board insurmountable. Alright. It's going to be a wasteland on my Caracas. They can deploy their own Thalia now. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Horizon Canopy every turn forever. Alright, we're dead, chat. We're not winning this one. Let's go to games where we have Rest in Peace in the sideboard. Please. Alright. Need to draw Mirren Crusader now, please. Until this Thalia dies or I draw a 3-drop, I'm going to leave this at 2. Yeah, my opponent is on a one-way trip to Value Town, and I'm getting left behind. I guess I don't wasteland my opponent because it makes the knight bigger, and because they're going to start wastelanding me right back. Oh yeah, we're super dead. Absolutely no discussion, super dead. So we'll port down this Caracas so that like we can get a turn with the Thalia in play. But like we're dead on board in like 2 attacks. Whether or not my opponent like actually has to make an attack yet, that's not clear. Because like they get to like Horizon Canopy, draw a card if they want, or they can just like wasteland me to set me back further, although that doesn't matter as much at this point. I'm hoping that I will get to gain 8 to 10 life off of this Thalia. Oh great, what is this? Literally anything is bad for me. Green Sun for X equals 2, that'll be a Qasali Pride Mage to blow up the Vial. Probably. Ooh, Scrib Ranger. Gross. So this will probably just get a fetch land or a wasteland. Yep. Waste me again. Scrib Ranger bounces to Savannah, untaps the Knight, crashes in for 10. I'll chump block with the Thalia. And still probably take 2 from the Ramunap Excavator. Alright, we have gained 10 life off of this Thalia. I accept. Alright, is there any way out from here? What if I top deck Batterskull? Maybe. How much damage am I taking on board? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 damage on board. Maybe 17, 18 if 2 more lands are put into the graveyard. So not dead. I think I want to hold the port in case I draw Batterskull. And I don't think I attack. I think I just pass the turn. Alright, what are good draws? Crusader's fine. Recruiter's fine. Swords to Plowshares is okay. How's your snow day going so far? Well, we're 2-1 right now, but we're 2-0 right now, but we're about to be down 1 game here. I also find it likely that I'm going to have a snow day tomorrow as well. Like, we have a lot for Virginia here, and it is continuing to snow. Like, we probably got 3 or 4 inches right now. It's been coming down hard. But I'll just take all of that, give myself the chance of some live top deck, like a piece of equipment. Alright, opponent making mana. Them having anything is bad. Okay, well that's not that bad. Say always no to that. Okay, is this the dead point? This is probably the dead point. If I jump block the knight, I take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 off the death right activation, assuming they can get a land, which they can out of their graveyard. That's fine. Oh, MacGuffin, thank you so much for subscribing. I really do appreciate the support. My emote is currently in the process of being approved by Twitch. That should be happening in the next couple of days. It was submitted late last week, so any time now. All right, so Maverick on the draw versus 3 lick 4R. So, what did we really lose to? I'm gonna say lose to aggressive creature-based draw. Aggressive creature-based draw with Knight and Crucible Snake. Let's go to the sideboard. Like, the Abrupt Decay and the Swords to Plowshares in the beginning were rough, but, like, we were still definitely playing Magic then. The Knight followed by Crucible Snake was basically unbeatable. Alright. Sword. In. Paths. In. Judgment and Rest in Peace. In. That part's easy. Thalia's. Real bad events against opposing Caracas. Out. Prelate. Borderline dead. Out. Sure, I drew a lot of lands, but, like, I didn't feel like I was particularly flooding. And then after that, I'll make some trims. I don't want to cut any of the cards that are remaining because they're all very good, and I want to have access to all of the effects. But this is tricky. Like, I'll probably trim a Revoker. I'll probably trim a Flicker Wisp. And then I don't know what I want to do for the last cut. Like, the Revokers can be really, really good, or, like, on some boards, they just don't do enough to be worth a card. Like, they can shut off Knight, they can shut off, like, Equipment, they can shut off Deathrite Shaman, Quasali Pride Mage, but, like, there are so many that, like, Revoker can only do so much. Trim a path and only bring in 2. Okay, that's fair. I'll do that. This hand is great. It is not like a Vial-based hand or anything like that, but, like, we are going to have multiple must-answer threats and a Rest in Peace to shut off Deathrite Shaman, Knight of the Reliquary shenanigans, and make my opponent play fair. And also shut off that damn snake. Snake's so good. Alright. So, here's the deal. If you want to correct my pronunciation, you need to know the etymology of the language to correct it properly. I am pronouncing it based off of the Latin pronunciation rather than the Americanized pronunciation. It's from the Latin root prelatus, or prelatus, which means to bear forth. Hi, enter stage left. Phil arguing about pronunciation in Latin. Yeah, exactly. We can revoke the mom later. The mom doesn't have to be revoked right now since we have War and Peace. Yeah, I agree. Stupid snack indeed. No, like your way is not wrong. Like for most words, there are going to be multiple ways to go and pronounce them. So like that is 100% acceptable. Like when a word can be pronounced in a way that is faithful to the ancient Greek or Latin, I tend to pronounce it that way. That is like something that I do as an individual. Alright, I have lots and lots and lots and lots of lines available to me this turn. It all depends on how quickly I want to try to close out this game. I have a lot of tools and my bottleneck is mana. I can just, like, put in Sword of War and Peace and just start going to Pound Town, or I can just deny my opponent mana and make them less likely to be able to, like, Green Sun Zenith up an answer to my stuff. I'm going to think about this for a second. My opponent is completely cut off of green right now, based on what I can see. I don't think my opponent has a Swords to Plowshares. They would have Swords to Plowshares me before I could have put something in with the Stoneforge. I think I want to rest in peace here, keep them off of green. Then in following turns, I can like Flicker Wisp my Stoneforge, have something that can get through in the air, and go to town. So, Phyrexia or Phyrexia. So that's interesting. That's a good one. So the Phi versus Phi is a debate that like even classicists fall on the wrong side of. Like you will hear Delphi and you will hear Delphi. Like it's sort of like similar to like where you'll see some people say Psi and other people say Psi. You know, splitting hairs. I'm okay with either side of that. But everyone says Phyrexia in Magic, so I say that as well. Alright. Love drawing Vial here. I think I want to play the Revoker so that I can have a colorless creature that Mom can't protect from. Now that my opponent has double Deathrite Shamans as chump blockers, the Sword of War and Peace doesn't just easily push through. So I'll say this as someone who, you know, works with the languages every day. English's pronunciation system is really stupid. Ooh, it's a scrub ranger. In English, we will pronounce things many different ways, not follow our normal, like, pronunciation rules at all. It's very frustrating for the non-native speakers. Like, the whole, like, I-E, E-I thing is like, super frustrating. For example. Absolutely no blocks here. This is a Zealous Persecution attack, if I've ever seen one. Alright, would love to draw land. Nope. So my opponent has a Zealous Persecution. It probably means that I just want to, like, put in the Batter Skull and then still be hoping to draw a land to, like, sort of War and Peace equip in the same turn. Yes. I will not... I'm going to try not to commit very many X1 creatures to the board out of fear of this Zealous Persecution. Like, it's just... That attack 100% feels like Zealous Persecution to me. Yes, that is a wonderful way to put that frustration. Well, I guess it's really like 5.5 vowels, because we get, like, Y that can sometimes do vowel things. Swords to Plowshares, the Batter Skull. Okay. I accept this. If my opponent has Zealous Persecution, this is the spot to do it before I get to block. And I'm going to go ahead and take out their Mother of Runes, since I have a Mother of Runes. Yeah, note that there is no loss here for me. I really like German as a language. I love that language's ability to just make compound words out of literally everything. I hardly know any, but I messed around with it a little bit when I was bored for a couple of weeks. Oh yeah, the homophones are rough. Alright, I'm still in this position where I'm really trying to just spike a land to take over this game. But I probably need to just stabilize the board a bit. So we'll Flicker Wisp our Batterskull, reset our Germ. We'll Stoneforge and get a Jitte. And then our next turn is Swords to Plowshare something if my opponent makes an all-out attack. Otherwise, we've got put Sword of War and Peace in and have Swords to Plowshares up. This is the cool part about like having people all around the world watching me. I get to like learn all of these little things about various languages while I'm streaming, and that's great. Alright, Green Sun Zenith for X equals 3. That's going to get Rex Sage and blow up my Batterskull. Yep. Alright, pushing damage through with the Tireless Tracker. Don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's fine. Alright, let's see if I can spike a removal spell here. Or not a removal spell, a land. A land would be super awesome. We're going to take this up to 3 for Flicker Wisp reasons. Ooh, we got the land. Alright. So, I get my Flicker Wisp protection from green so that I can get past the Scrub Ranger. I attack in. I remove 2 creatures. I'll need to chump block the Tireless Tracker. And then I'll have like Swords to Plowshares for the Tireless Tracker on the following turn. Seems good. I'm just going to do a quick, like, power toughness check and whatnot. So, like, I chump this, and then there's 2, 3, 4, 5 damage coming in. Do I need to use this Jitte counter now? The Death Rights can't activate. any of the rest, like, I can kill either one of these creatures at combat. Some of these creatures on tapping right now doesn't particularly matter, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the counter. Yeah, that feeling where you get the live Jitte. Good, Gideon. Alright, so that just probably, like, immediately makes an emblem. So my opponent emblems. I kill the Rex Sage in response. I chump block 2 things and I take 4 damage going to 2. I'll then get to crack back with Flicker Wisp and Sword of War and Peace. This is a tricky spot for my opponent. If they just 0, then they, like, create 2 bodies that need to be answered on the following turn. But if they don't, yeah, if they don't emblem, then, like, it's bad news. And like, the Scrub Ranger has more utility, but I just think I want to get rid of something that is going to have more power, since, like, if I win this game, it is going to be on very, very, very narrow margins. Or wait, maybe it is supposed to be the Scrub Ranger, because the Scrub Ranger can block my Flicker Wisp? Like, so this is 100% must-happening chump block. If I block Rex Sage and kill Scrub Ranger, I take 4. Either way, both of these Stoneforges are dying this turn. So I guess I should kill the Scrub Ranger. Because that leaves my mom untapped in following turns. Now this puts me into a point where I need to draw land if I want to get War and Peace equipped. Ooh. Alright. Holy shit. So I Swords to Plowshare's Tireless Tracker. I attack in. That effectively puts me at 7 life. I Swords to Plowshare's a Reclamation Sage. And I'm in the position, again, where I need to draw a land in order to get Sword of War and Peace active. Or, I Swords to Plowshare's Tracker, I Swords to Plowshare's Deathrite Shaman. I use Jitte counters to kill Rex Sage, and then my opponent's board is just a Deathrite Shaman. That would put me at 1 life. That is probably better in the long game. Like, let's remember that even though my opponent only has one card in hand, they still do have these 3 clues. So, like, I'm going to have to get their entire board under control. This is not an aggro them out game. This is a grind them out game. And I'm not in the best position to grind. Yeah, since I have the rest in peace, I'm gonna wait on the next portion of this. This could be punished by a zealous persecution by not killing the Rex Sage now. But I'm not going to beat a zealous persecution anyway, because, like, if I use my Jitte counters and my opponent has zealous persecution, then my Flicker Wisp is off the board, and they're still presenting 3 damage. Yeah, we're dead to a Gideon. We're dead to a lot of things, really. Alright. So I get rid of a Deathrite Shaman here. Yeah, it's fun. There's only a 16 life point difference. There's only an 18 life point difference. Alright. Alright, my opponent presenting multiple bodies at the same time is bad for me, especially since one of those is Mom. Alright. So I have to attack to go up to 5 life. If I don't attack, then my opponent will just pro-white a Deathrite Shaman. If I play out all my cards, I'm 100% dead. If I attack in, I'm 100% dead. Yeah. So I'm going to cast this sword, attack in, and hold up, like, Swords to Plowshares mana. And, like, make it look like my opponent has to go for it and get blown out. What game are we in, chat? Is this 2? Is this 1? No, I've sideboarded. Alright, so my opponent attacks with everything, and I'm dead. Okay, yeah, so I forgot to update my notes here. So, game 1 I lost. Game 2 I was on the play and I lost. Yeah, alright, so game 1 I lost to the Crucible Snake, and then game 2 I lost to Gideon Endem. I'm going to say Gideon Emblem and not drawing 4th land. You know, if at any point earlier in that game I hit that land to deploy the Sword of War and Peace sooner, like, I don't think I'd lose that. But at like almost every turn of that game, I just had something better to do than put in that piece of equipment because the tempo was so critical. Yeah, that was a really, really good match. Definitely watch the replay later because it was very, very interesting on my end. I'm sure it was on your end as well. Like I sniffed out that you had the Zealous Persecution, and I played around it to the best of my ability. Say a little. I had some comments about like the timing of the Zealous Persecution. I think that could have been a little bit better. But that Gideon emblem was absolutely devastating in that last game there. I also really, really, really needed my 4th land much sooner to get Sword of War and Peace online. That was in my hand from very, very early on, but I just never had an opportunity to get that in play. And then it was just too late by the end. All right, folks, I'm going to take 30 seconds to run to the restroom here. If you have any comments about that game or this deck list, please let me know, and then we'll stream round 4. We're currently 2-1. Phil, what is your win rate against the mirror? Pretty high. Let me check. I think this is my data for the mono white. Hold on. Looks like I'm 10 and 5 with the red white build. And 9 and 3 with the mono white build. So my win rate is very, very good. Phil, is this matchup any better with the red-white version? The Maverick matchup's about the same either way. Like, what you gain from Magus of the Moon in shutting off their mana base is lost by exposing yourself to Wasteland further. So it's kind of a wash. Let's see, so you say, I think I was supposed to plow the flicker instead of the mom during that end step. I could see that being correct. I would have to go back and look at the exact board, but like getting rid of that flicker wisp really shuts down anything resembling aggression on my end, and then your clues can probably just take over the game. Looks like my opponent plays a lot of standard, but no legacy. This hand is solid. It has a very aggressive Aether Vial based start and a Wasteland to disrupt my opponent. If the Vial resolves, I'm very likely to just Wasteland my opponent. Alright, so we're playing regular D&T. Alright, so we're playing regular D&T. We're on the draw against Kaname. And now there's some thought. There's no thought on my end. It's just 100% play this Vial and see if it gets dazed or forced. Or maybe spell pierced. Who knows? It seems this is a tricky brainstorm. Force pitching Delver. So we're probably playing against Grixis Delver with what we've seen so far. Our hand's okay against Grixis Delver, not amazing. I would love to draw basic planes right here. There's not basic planes. See if I can get this Aether Vial to resolve. Daze. Oh, opponent has main deck Fork Bolt. That's annoying. Jeez. Getting super punished for not wastelanding prior to casting the Aether Vial. I didn't think my opponent was going to have another daze. Yeah, like, exactly. That's why I didn't play around it. It's like, I just found it so incredibly unlikely that if we ate the Force there, rather than the daze, it had to be their draw for turn. Yeah, heat checker, the more you think about this situation, the weirder it is, right? Why, yes, I have had my tea. I will definitely be having more. I'm probably not leaving the house for a couple of days at this point. You would buy Thalia? I think the Stoneforge has a higher upside if it does resolve. And I think that's what I care about, is like higher upside plays. I'm pretty behind, so I just need to like stabilize here. They totally leveled us by making us think that they didn't have days. Yeah, everything's fine now. Ladies and gentlemen, Flicker Wisp! Best card in the deck, not close. That's a lie. I mean, Aether Vial is the best card in the deck, not close, but sure feels good. Alright, Young Pyromancer. Sure. Well, they already have a Forked Bolt. We already know about a Forked Bolt, so... there's that, and it's terrifying. The Flicker Wisp will save whatever from the Forked Bolt. So I'm not going to get aggressive. I'm just going to, like, hold back, let them Forked Bolt something, and then, like, probably the Mirror Crusader, and then Flicker Wisp the Mirror Crusader, leaving this Stoneforge to, like, get rid of the Young Pyromancer. What is my opponent doing, not Forked Bolting? Sure, they have Lightning Bolt too. Sure, you can Lightning Bolt my Stoneforge. gonna get another Stoneforge for a... No, I'm gonna get a Prelate. Fuck you. And your deck. Oh, I'm such the bad guy today. One. Okay. I'll trade the Recruiter for the Elemental. I don't care about the Flicker Wisp value. This game is pretty close to lockdown, and I can find other things to do with the Flicker Wisp. Like, it's very possible that I just want to reset my own Vial to deploy my 2 drops, since I'm just, like, bricking on lands forever. And we win! I'm always a bully. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, joke's on the opponent. Lightning Bolt was wasted on the Stoneforge. Should have gone at Crusader. Alright, so we're playing against Grixis Delver. We're on the draw and we win versus Kaname. So game 1, win with Vial and finish with Prelate. We'll be on the draw for the next one. Alright, so paths are coming in, council's judgments are coming in, rest in peace is in the maybe pile. The revokers are in the come out of the deck pile. I board out Prelate in this matchup since like I have 7 1-drop removal spells that I really, really want to cast, and then I'll trim 1 other card. I, too, like to win games with 6 life left instead of 17 life. Yup. Me too. In the past, I've boarded out Recruiters to bring in Rest in Peace, and then trimmed 1 other card. But now that Grixis Delver is starting to play more of a grindy post-sideboard game, I'm not entirely sure that that's correct anymore, especially on the draw, where like they can potentially sneak in a Gurmag Angler under you. So I'm probably going to leave those in the sideboard. And trim 1 card, maybe a Thalia or a Flicker Wisp for the rest. I'll make it a Thalia. How do you like your Miracles matchup? I don't. The Miracles matchup is so much harder now than it used to be. Like, night and day different. With the red-white deck, I can't beat back to basics that they're playing. And with the mono-white deck, I find that I'm just often being ground out of the game. The red-white deck has P and K to, like, take on that role. Like, that's kind of why I'm playing Cataclysm now. It's just as a way to, like, try to mise that matchup. I'm gonna Wasteland them in their upkeep to play around Stifle. But I'm 100% doing it. Yep. Ooh, they're on the mulligan. They don't have a Brainstorm or anything to cast there. That's gross. Yes, Brimaz is sweet against Miracles. Like, it presents multiple bodies, it's bigger than a lot of the idiots like Snapcaster Mage, so, like, that doesn't matter. You can protect it with Caracas. It's very, very good. My opponent doesn't shuffle. They also don't have lands. Yeah, my opponent's mulligan is probably hurting real bad right about now. Young Pyromancer. Deal. I've also had great success with Canonist against Miracles. I can buy that. I dislike Rip in the matchup. Wait, do you mean in this matchup or in the Miracles matchup? Aw, damn it. Card's so good. I need to think for a moment about whether or not I want to like start racing with Flicker Wisps or about whether or not I want to remove the Young Pyromancer. I think since my opponent has a Wasteland and this Rishadan is not long for this world, I should just play a Flicker Wisp. I have tested Rest in Peace against Miracles, thinking that shutting off Snapcaster Mage and Search for Escanta might be enough. I didn't really find that was the case. I boarded it in for a few matches, and like there are videos of me doing that. I did not end up liking that. Flicker a token. Flickering a token is fine, but if this Thalia dies somehow, something like a Marsh Casualties or a like Forked Bolt for multiple of my creatures, I would much rather be able to play a removal spell this turn. Alright, opponent, if you were going to do that, you should have done that on your turn before you gave the opportunity for me to use that mana. My opponent had like a Marsh Casualties or something like that, they would have used it already. I gave them like a great opportunity to on the previous turn, and they did not, so I'm not going to play around that again. So I have Lethal in the air. I'm going to Path to Exile this Delver of Secrets, but since my opponent has mana up, I'm going to wait to do it until their upkeep after the Delver trigger. Spell Pierce, okay. Alright, opponent does not have green mana to eat with Deathrite Shaman, so that's not actually a problem right now. So if I just block the Young Pyromancer, it's 3, 6. Deathrite Shaman could make it 8. Bolt could make it 11. So I can die to a Lightning Bolt in hand from my opponent if I don't block with both. I don't really want to put myself into that situation. Yeah, like, we get to choose to play around one of Forked Bolt or Lightning Bolt here. We can't play around both. My opponent has more Lightning Bolts in their deck than Fork Bolts, so I should probably just play around Lightning Bolt. have to go to blockers. So I block here. Block one here. Go okay. That was probably a mistake. I should have given a random Flicker Wisp pro red, I think. That would play around Fork Bolt, just wrecking me. But, like, throws away the mom. But maybe that's fine. Although it's not fine if my opponent has a green source for Deathrite Shaman. Alright, so they're pondering with no outs. If they Forked Bolt with the mana that they have to kill both Flicker Wisps, I just attack in for the remaining 3 damage. Alright, so win game 2. So game 2, win with... I'll attribute this win to the double Wasteland at the beginning of the game that set my opponent back just absolutely a ton. So we'll say win with double Wasteland and Flicker Wisp aggro. Yeah, that was a really interesting game. There were a lot of, like, cool decision points there. Not 100% if I play that last turn optimally. That's one of those turns where I could sit down and, like, map out decision trees for, like, what beats what there. Oh, okay, so this is a really neat question, so I'm going to go ahead and field this one. It's going to take a second. I'm just going to read this for anyone who is only listening. Had a rousing discussion on the GP Madrid playback the other night about Blood Moon interactions with legendary lands, specifically a second Caracas. So how do these effects work? Does a legend rule apply versus Blood Moon and Magus? Let me like walk through how this works and why. Magus of the Moon changes things into mountains. However, it does not affect the legendary super type. It affects the type of the land, and it removes all of its abilities. But that legendary is not an ability, so it still keeps that. So anything that is going to like come before the word land there, it is going to go and keep that attribute. If you are interested in reading about like some of the ins and out about how Magus of the Moon works on a technical level, I'm going to go ahead and link you to something here because like it's a really complicated card. So this is the link to my red-white primer. There's like 8 paragraphs on like Magus of the Moon, how Magus of the Moon works, and like common weird interactions with Magus of the Moon. Like Magus of the Moon in Dark Depths, Magus of the Moon in Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, and things of that nature. So, like, yes, you can only keep one Caracas with a Blood Moon around. That is something that is pretty easy to miss when you are playing in paper, because you're like, oh, these are all mountains, it doesn't particularly matter. Like, it's really easy to, like, sit there and chat when you're just, like, watching the game and, like, you're just, like, staring at the board and you're not using your brain power to play, and you go, oh, you know, this is a second Caracas. But when you're playing in paper, it's pretty easy to miss that sort of a thing. Like, I can tell you as, like, both a judge and a player, it's real easy to fuck things up and, like, miss things. Especially if you're judging a format that you don't know. Like, when I'm judging Limited, I have no idea what any of the cards are. So, like, I have to read every single card that's on the board before, like, I go and make rulings. I don't know what they do. And so if you have a judge who just, like, isn't familiar, you know, say, specifically with the card Blood Moon, because they've usually been judging Standard and Limited, it's really easy to miss some of those interactions. And, like, sure, you might have a level 3 as a table judge watching over the game, but, you know, if everything has been a mountain for 5 turns or more, and then someone plays a second Caracas, you know, it's pretty easy to miss the fact that that's a second Caracas when you're just used to thinking, that's a mountain. So I wouldn't think anything, like, too badly of the judges or the players for that sort of thing. You know, that's a really easy mistake to make. What's really bizarre is the interaction of Magus and Humility. I haven't had that one come up before. I would have to, like, sit down, look at all of the layers, and work out how that's supposed to happen. Ugh. Alright, playing against Delivasy. No data on my opponent. I'll keep what is a good hand against some sort of fair deck. A little soft to combo. The TLDR is that Magus is a 1/1 with no abilities and everything is a mountain. Okay. That makes sense to me. Alright, so now we're playing a matchup where I would really prefer to be red-white over mono-white. We're playing against lands. So we're playing against lands. We're on the draw. Playing against Delivasy. Damn it, a Tabernacle too. A Tabernacle and Loam, so I have to deal with that forever. Alright. We are not a favorite to win this game at this point. Alright, Probe is bad news. No main deck, rest in peace. So our best out involves drawing Sanctum Prelate. That's the line of Wasteland themselves. Okay. They just want to be able to cycle with the Sheltered Thicket. That's why they did that. I'm thinking about whether or not I actually want to, like, play out a non-basic land here. It matters very, very little if I do so. I think I just want to hold my lands. Any land that I play out is just, like, auto-wastelanded by the wasteland that's in my opponent's hand already. So I'm just kind of throwing it away. Whereas the lands in my hand now represent 4 different 3-drops that I can cast. I guess it does tie up some of my opponent's mana and keep them from just, like, cycling. But assuming they play 1 land, they can cycle and Loam and Wasteland me still. I'm just going to play out a second. Yeah, I guess I will just play out a second mob. And get my beats in before my opponent has the chance to just, like, dredge the Punishing Fire and completely destroy me. This is risky, but I think I am at, like, sub 10% to win this game. So I think I need to do everything I can to try to get my opponent's life total low. Grove, Thicket, Verdant, okay. Stage, Thicket, Ghost Quarter. Oh yeah, I'm 100% putting a Cavern on something weird once I think I'm 100% dead. We'll take this up to 3. Gross. Alright, again, do I want to make the double attack in? If my opponent dredges a Punishing Fire, they can bounce it and kill a mom, but not both moms. Oh, wait, no, there's a second Grove. So I could cast Loam for 2. Pay... Use these 3 to do it, and still be short of getting it back and casting it. So the attack is fine. Well, not fine, but not crazy. Just bad. What is the weirdest thing I can put Cavern on that's reasonable? Probably... True Name Nemesis is a Merfolk Rogue, right? Yeah, so I'm going to name Rogue and make my opponent think that I have True Name in my deck. Now my opponent might just like pick up on the fact that I'm just like fucking with them. And that's fine. But any doubt that I give them is good. So, like, the thing about, like, naming weird shit with Cavern is you have to name weird shit that's reasonable. You can't name weird shit that's unreasonable. Like, you want to make your opponent think you have things in your deck that you don't. Alright. We're on Mother of Runes aggro here. It's not a good place to be. Opponent has infinite lands in play, and as soon as they find a Dark Depths, I'm in big trouble. But they've been through half their deck and haven't. So, good news for the home team. Alright, opponent still has not hit a Punishing Fire. They did hit the Dark Depths, though. The good news is that the Caracas will deal with a Merit Lodge. Bad news is that my opponent now has Punishing Fire and Maze of Ith, so we're super dead. Challenge results are up. Basic Planes, would you share that link in the chat, please? Thank you. Alright. Well, this is about as good as we could possibly make it work out for ourselves. The Dark Depths is still in the graveyard. The Punishing Fire is in the graveyard. There's another Dark Depths, though. So I probably have to give my opponent 20 life. Like, I attack in with both of these. They make a Merit Lodge. I swords the Merit Lodge token. I could just take 20 from the Merit Lodge and only attacking with Recruiter of the Guard this turn. And then kill it with the Caracas on the following turn. It's not unreasonable, but would die to Molten Vortex. If I just attack in, though, and I put in this Crusader, 4, 6, 7, 31 life, 7, 14, 21, 28. I have my opponent on approximately a 5-turn clock, and the Ghost Quarter can only get rid of one of those things. That might be good enough. This is a difficult decision point. No, we can't beat Molten Vortex regardless, so we're not going to play around that. The question is, like, it doesn't really matter if I give them the 20 life. Like, there's a Dark Depths in the graveyard. Here's another Dark Depths. They might not have too many more copies of it left at all. Yeah. I'll give them 20 life. Alright. So that's how it's gotta be, huh? We've got it all now. So they'll Ghost Quarter our Caracas. All flow to white mana. We'll use Ether Vial's ability. All Flicker Wisp my Caracas. We get a bonus land here, which is really good against the opposing Tabernacle. My opponent does the whole Dark Depths Song and Dance again. I give them more life than they can possibly ever use. I get a Plains. Or no, I guess I don't get a Plains. They take a bunch of damage. And my opponent scoops it up. I have 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 damage coming in. They're on a 4-turn clock, and they're pretty much out of, like, cards in their deck that matter. Like, they maybe have one more Dark Depths, but, like, the clock is very relevant here. So we win that one. Game 1, Steel win with Sanctum Prelate. Sanctum Prelate is in many ways similar to Magus of the Moon in terms of its utility in matchups like this. So we're going to bring in the sword since it's good against pro-red stuff. We'll bring in all these Path to Exiles, and we'll bring in the Rest in Peace. We'll consider Cataclysm. We'll probably board out the Revokers. I know they can stop some stuff, but like it's not the greatest clock. It's not the greatest thing of liability. Sorry, I should rephrase that. It's not the greatest card in terms of consistency when your opponent is a punishing fire deck. I'll probably trim some number of these Mirren Crusaders. I'll trim some number of Swords to Plowshares. Maybe I should, like, board out a piece of equipment. And, like, maybe board out the Jitte. And maybe I don't want the Cataclysms. I've been playing the matchup without Cataclysm with the red-white version. But if I have 4 ways to answer Loam, then maybe that's enough to, like, actually play the Cataclysm. The issue is, like, every creature I cut makes me, like, a little bit softer and softer to just, like, cards like Tabernacle and Maze of Ith. I don't think I'm going to do Cataclysm on the draw. This hand is amazing. Holy cow, this hand is good. Alright. Got lots of mana. I'm actually just going to play Caracas here. I have a second one, and I'm sort of afraid of just, like, crop rotation into death if I don't have this up. Copy Caracas. You bet. Alright. Yep, Exploration doesn't do a ton right now, though. Jam. 2. Okay. Alright. Drop of honey. Alright, that is an answer to my Sanctum Prelate here. Do I care? I can probably just, like, let the Prelate go, rather than just try to keep a bunch of bodies on the board. Yeah. I'll let the Prelate go. Nope. Just click through an attack. Strong. I deserve a punt for that. Alright, we have slowed this game down to absolutely glacial pace. I'm going to get one of my pro-red swords here. Once I get a wasteland for the Maze of Ith, I can crash in for a lot. War and Peace is better if my opponent does get to like start loaming, but Sword of Fire and Ice draws me into more action. So I'll get Fire and Ice. We're more interested in getting rid of whichever one my opponent has. Alright, so my opponent has Krosan Grip left. Get rid of P-Fire, P-Fire, P-Fire. And then snip their deck. My opponent should just like bounce the Thalia here. Yep, okay. They know how their cards work when they're my cards. Krosan Grip the Vial. Okay. So we just need to draw a creature before my opponent draws anything that matters. Basically, I care about them getting exactly Life from the Loam, which they are now getting, and which they now get to dredge and get, which is unfortunate. My opponent did not see that line, or chose to not take that line. We'll get to destroy Mox Diamond here. Unless my opponent, like, draws and gets a land exactly. Playing around a second surgical. Okay, that's fair. Thicket, Taiga, Thicket. created a second Maze of Ith, which is annoying. That now walls both Flicker Wisps. But they no longer have a Caracas, so I can play out Thalia as like an actual threat. I think I just want another Flicker Wisp in my hand. We won't play out a Caracas here. My opponent has, you know, Loam, Wasteland, shenanigans going on. I'm probably going to lose both of my non-basic lands here, so I'm only able to play, like, pay for the Flicker Wisps. Too bad indeed. Too bad indeed. If you ask me that question about Latin later, I would love to answer it, but my clock's getting pretty low, so I probably need to focus on this rather than getting distracted by Latin. I'm probably losing this game. Like, as soon as my opponent finds a Merit Lodge, as soon as they find a Dark Depths, I am in trouble. And they have, like, a lot of ways to do that. They can also begin just, like, ghost quartering me out of planes. Which is what they're gonna do. I don't want to concede for time, because if I draw Rest in Peace, the game's over. Right? Like, a Rest in Peace is, like, 100%, like, we're done. There's the Dark Depths. Can actually get a hit here. I'm gonna let one Flicker Wisp go. I'm taking exactly one more draw step and then conceding. Because this will be my last chance to draw planes, or excuse me, to draw a Rest in Peace and cast it. Because like after this next Ghost Quarter, I'm out of basics. Yeah, but again, like it has to be this next draw step. Otherwise, it's too late. All right, I'll concede there. I mean, we were lucky enough to draw one of the pieces of Graveyard Hate. You know, it didn't work out, but that was fine. Do I want Cataclysm on the play? Maybe not. Kind of want to on the play. I think I want to like get a little bit more aggressive and maybe board in some Revokers for Molten Vortex or Mox Diamond. I want to close out this game quickly. My clock is low, so I don't want to give them 20 life. Keep. Hand has a surgical. Tell our round 1 Goy versus Crusader opponent that we are never lucky. Yeah, we're doing fine for ourselves. I don't think drop of honey targets, right? Yeah, okay, so that just gets rid of this. So since that gets rid of that, I can just bash in for 1. Well, our opponent does have multiple drops of honey, to be fair. Molten Vortex. Alright. Second Dark Depths, okay. Sure. What does crop rotation get? Just like stage. Maybe Grove. I'll let that happen. Could get a Dark Depths to play around the Surgical if they're watching me stream or something silly like that. Horizon Canopy, just trying to get an extra draw. Sure. I gamble. Discard the crop rotation. Alright, and the opponent scoops it up there. They're not beating that. Oh yeah, like my opponent most certainly tutored for Loam, and they're very, very dead at that point. And that's why I made the Wasteland play, was to like lock the Loam in their hand, because like that's 100% what they get. Game 3, win with mana denial, backed up by Sword of Fire and Ice. And so that was that. That was our first stream of the day. So it was a win against Stoneblade and Bug Delver, a narrow loss to Maverick. Oh, maybe not narrow. We got beat pretty good, at least in one of those games. The Gideon Emblem was rough. But it was a very, very good game. And then wins against Grixis Delver and lands for a 4-1 finish with Crusader D&T. So again, you know, even though I've been playing the red-white, even though I like red-white better right now, you know, this build is still very, very good. You can still put up very good results with this. Oh yeah, you screwed up the 5-0. That's on you. You hope you can sleep tonight. All right, so it is lunchtime for me. I 100% will be streaming again at 9 o'clock, or excuse me, at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time tonight. It is likely I'll do an afternoon stream, although I have some things I need to take care of, so it's not 100% that will happen. So, thank you all for joining me this afternoon. I'm going to take a moment here and see if I can find another Legacy stream to throw you all in here before I sign off. Alright, I don't see any Legacy streams other than one that's like testing on cockatrice, and I'm not going to put you into that. Oh, Latin question. So the Latin question was something along the lines of, hey, did people have accents in Latin? And like the answer to that for like either Latin or Greek is yes. There are some dialectical differences depending on where people are coming from that are noticeable. And there are also going to be some differences based on level of education. So, for example, the Latin that we see in graffiti and the Latin that we see someone like Cicero writing are going to end up being very, very, very different. There's also a large difference in time with Latin. So when you go and you read something that's relatively old, like Plautus, versus, you know, something that's newer, like Ovid, you will see marked differences in those. This becomes sort of exaggerated as you move away from like proper Roman times and go into the medieval period, where the pronunciation system just changes completely. Do I get to pick another deck if I'm there for your afternoon stream? Probably not. I might want to like play with Moonman this afternoon. We'll see what I'm feeling like. How'd I end up teaching Latin? Long story. Here's the short version. I went to undergrad starting out as a double major in biology and environmental science. I took Latin for my language requirement. Turns out I was really good at it, and I was getting kind of burned out on the sciences anyway. Switched to a classics major, got an internship working on an ancient Greek textbook, went to Greece on an archaeological tour, got a full ride to grad school, decided I didn't want to pick up the PhD because I got burnt out, and started teaching. That's the short version. The long version has more steps, but it was kind of a complicated route and not a route that I expected to take. Alright, folks, I will see most of you later today. I'll post in the usual places before I start my next stream one way or another. I hope you enjoyed. That's why I'm so good at artifacts. Guess it is.